Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney, a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we have a follow-up to one of my lawyers behaving badly stories that came out in December of last year. Those of you who are not new around this channel, I guess, will remember that we had a lawyer by the name of Strems down in South Florida who managed to get himself crosswise with the bar because he had associate attorneys handling 700 cases at a time. Well, it turns out that the original action that was filed against him by the Florida bar resulted in his suspension. And between his suspension from the practice of law and the December 2022 disbarment, there were some things that went on at his firm that didn't get reported in the opinion, but that nevertheless had an impact on Mr. Strems and the lawyers that he was working with. So when it became obvious that he was going to be in some deep doo-doo with the Florida bar, he went to a lawyer himself and got him to draft an agreement to allow some of the attorneys who worked with him to buy the firm and basically buy out his shares in the firm. And they worked out a promissory note and all of this. Well, over the course of the prior 2 years, Strems had taken out $18 million one year and I think $21 million the next. He got an independent valuation of the firm's going concern value at $40 million. He sold his shares to a new entity called the Property Associates. And their shtick was to do the same thing that Strems had done, represent people in insurance cases. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with representing people in insurance cases unless you A, do it badly, or B, don't do it at all, or C, do it fraudulently. And there were allegations against Strems to that effect ongoing. He was sort of the insurance industry's public enemy number one, so to speak. Even the Florida CFO, the Chief Financial Officer for the state of Florida, made comments to the effect that he should have been reined in by the bar. He gets suspended and he sells his firm for $40 million. The deal calls for the new law firm to pay him $4 million a year for the next 10 years, the $40 million. And the way it was structured is he would get a check for $2 million in December, and $2 million in June. That went on for a couple of payments, and then because they could not generate the amount of cash flow that Strems had been able to generate, and of course, one of the reasons the Florida bar was concerned was because of the manner in which he generated that kind of cash flow. They fell behind on the payments, and he sued them. And he filed a motion for a receiver, basically saying that the new law firm was bankrupt. And eventually, they wound up in bankruptcy court. This is the actual petition for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the Property Advocates PA, formerly known as the Strems Law Firm, and their place of business. Things that I found interesting in here, it has between 1 and 49 creditors, and assets between $1 million and $10 million, and liabilities between $10 million and $50 million. And then they're required to list the people who are the biggest creditors that are not insiders. And these are the people that they list. They have a judgment for legal fees by Hernan Hernandez, and that's $29,000. There is a disputed lawsuit involving Michael Patrick, where the amount is $665,285. And then, looky there, unliquidated and disputed, there's a promissory note, Scott Strems, $35,589,785. Now, that would ordinarily be the end of the story. I would not be really interested in how they fight over the carcass of what once was a law firm and divide up cases and that sort of thing and make sure that clients got taken care of. But what's interesting about this is that Strems holds this note. He can't practice law. He can't even reapply for admission until I think 2030. And as a result of that, he really has no way to make money in the law. I'm sure he is going to count on the money that he's going to get or was thinking he was going to get from this law firm. He went before the bankruptcy judge and basically said that he had a priority claim because he had a promissory note. But the problem for him is the the law firm says, hey, you didn't register the note with the Florida Secretary of State. You didn't do a UCC filing, and as a result, your lien is not perfected. You are, just like everybody else, you're an unsecured creditor. He claims that he doesn't even have a copy of the original note. The law firm that drafted the note doesn't have a copy of the original note, and apparently the new property firm, the Property Associates, doesn't have a copy of the note. So it might be rather difficult to prove up the terms, although he probably can make a good faith argument that the Xerox copy of it that he has, he'll be able to get that admitted because the original has either been lost or destroyed. What makes all of this tremendously interesting is that the law firm says it has about $10 million in assets and about $50 million in liabilities, of which $40 million in liabilities related to Mr. Strems. In addition to that, they have other claimants, other law firms that say they are owed fees, other providers that say they are owed fees. What Strems has left here has been a tangled mess. He set these new lawyers up, I think, really to fail. With that kind of a load on you, a $40 million debt load, it would be really hard to see any kind of profitability anytime soon, particularly since the law in Florida has changed now, and property law, particularly property insurance law, is not nearly as lucrative as it once was. We'll download the pleadings and keep an eye on this and maybe look at the docket from time to time, and if anything shows up on there that's interesting, I'll be sure to bring it to you here. Anyway, that's the update. I hope you're having a great day. If you have the opportunity today, please do something nice for someone, and catch me down here at the beach next time. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.